Hello everybody, so in this video I'll be showing you how you can quickly make a pocket watch in ZBrush. Okay, so let's open up our default project. Okay, so the first thing which we need to do is we need to turn off the Dynamesh. So let's go to Geometry, find Dynamesh and turn off this Dynamesh. Now let's activate the Gizmo, find our IM primitive 14 brush, and let's find out cylinder inner. Okay, so now we have our cylinder inner in our viewport. Let's turn off the perspective, press Shift F to see the wireframe. Now let's select our zmodeler brush, scale it down. Okay, so I don't need this edge loop over here, so I'm just gonna hover my mouse over this edge loop and I'm gonna press Alt and let's click to delete the edge loop. I'm gonna do the same for this one, and now let's create another edge loop over here. Let's select this. Now let's create a temporary polygroup. So to create it, you just need to press Alt and you need to hover your mouse over the face and you need to drag like this. Okay, so now the next step is hover your mouse over the face, press spacebar, extrude, and instead of the single poly, let's change it to polygroup all. Scale it like this and let's leave it. Now let's create another polygroup, new edge loop over here like this, and let's turn off the symmetry for now. You can turn off the symmetry by going under transform, and you can see over here we have this activate symmetry. So now again let's create a temporary polygroup for this entire ring like this. Just check the entire model in case you have accidentally created this white polygroup anywhere else. Okay, so the next thing is, instead of extruding this outwards, we will be extruding this inside this time. Say like this. Okay, so the next step is, which we need to do is, we need to create that little glass frame for this. So how we can do it? So press Shift, click on Subtool, and let's create a duplicate copy of this one. Let's go to solo mode, and what I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to create another edge loop over here like this, right? And now I just need to create a new polygroup over here, but before I do this, let's just quickly create a temporary polygroup over here like this. Press Ctrl Shift and hover your mouse over this point and click, and you can see everything got hidden, and we just now need to delete this hidden object. So we can go into modify topology, and here you can see we have this option called delete hidden. So just click on this. So now if I try to get back those things, you can see it's not there because the geometry is now have been deleted. So next step is quite simple. We just need to create another edge loop over here like this. And let's press Ctrl W to create another new polygroup over here. And let's create another temporary polygroup. Press spacebar, delete, single poly, click. So now we have this thing over here. Now again we just need to extrude it. Extrude, polygroup all, extrude like this, right? Okay, So now what we have to do is we just need this face over here. So how we can do it? So if I come out from my solid mode, so you can see we have this frame, right? So let's quickly unmask these points and move our gizmo like this. Control Alt and drag your mouse, and whatever comes under this white portion, you can say it's going to be unmasked, and the rest of the object is going to get masked. So now you can see I can move it. So let's position it properly. Let's say like this, right? So the next step is, what we need to do is we need only this face, we don't need any interior faces. So how we can do it? So let's just do this way. Delete, press hover your mouse over the face spacebar, delete. Instead of the single poly, you can click on this polyloop and polygroup. Delete, and we don't need this one as well. So we will be just left with the outer ring. So the next step is quite simple. We just need to hover our mouse over the edge, press spacebar, insert multiple edge. First we need to close the hole, convex hole, and we just need to do this thing. Press Ctrl Z. So the settings are something like this. Hover your mouse over the edge, press spacebar, close, target, convex hole, spline, and you can see this one is important, interactive curvature, right? And this thing, these two things are quite important, interactive curvature and interactive resolution. So when I click on this, you can see I'm dragging my mouse towards the, you can say, right side of the screen, so it's going up and down, right? And if I drag my mouse downwards, you can see I'm increasing the number of resolution, right? So let's say we'll keep it like this. Okay. Okay, so now we're done with this part. So if I press Shift F, you can see now we have this thing, right? So now let's work on the upper part of this pocket watch. So I'll just move it like this to the top view. Let's go to brush palette, find IMM primitive 14 brush, and again I'll be using the cylinder 3D. Press Shift F to see the wireframe, and I need to select this polysphere from the sub tool. You can turn on the symmetry. Let's activate symmetry. So you can see that's our center point. So I'll be dragging my mouse, press Shift, and we'll leave it like this. Let's get back to our zmodeler brush, and now we need to split this to the different subtool. Press Shift, click to the split, and then we need to find this, let's say, split mask points. And now we can just move it to the right position like this. Scale it down, put it over here like this. Let's keep it like this for now. Right now, again press Control Alt, drag and leave. So you can see now we have these points unmasked, and the rest of the, you can see, object going to get masked automatically. So move it over here like this. Let's see, this much is enough, like this. Zoom in, press spacebar, insert single edge loop. This time we need, let's create one over here, let's say another one over here, right? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mask, you can set this loop. So drag, and you can see this is the part I need to make sure that get masked. So I'm done with this. So now if I press Ctrl W, you will be able to see that I have created a new, you can see, polygroup over here. So now I can work with this. So let's press let's hover our mouse over the face, press spacebar, extrude, and it's we can keep it polygroup all for now. We can just drag it like this. Let's say we'll keep it like this. Okay, so the next step is, again, we'll mask first. Let's unmask everything by pressing Ctrl and drag your mouse over the empty canvas of ZBrush. Now let's unmask these points. Control, drag, and if you press Alt, it's going to get white and leave. You can move it up like this, and let's create another edge loop over here. And now the next step is press spacebar, multiple edge loops. We'll keep this interactive elevation on this time as well, and I'll be creating interactive elevation. We need to check this one, and we need this thing over here. Like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create another edge loop over here, but instead of this insert multiple edge loops, I need a single edge loop. Let's create one over here, delete this one, we don't need this one. Let's create a temporary polygroup. Let's check out whether we have accidentally created new temporary polygroup anywhere else. Now we can just extrude it like this, and that's it. So we have this thing over here. Okay, now let's go to again to our brush, IMM Primitive 14 brush, and let's create another cylinder at the center of this. Press Shift F to see the wireframe, create, and let's leave it like this. And now again we'll go for split mask points. Let's go to zmodeler brush, and let's reset the gizmo. To reset this gizmo to the center of this object, we need to turn off the symmetry. Press Alt and click on this icon. It's going to get at the center of this object. Rotate it like this, scale it over here, and let's work on it. Like this. We'll keep it like this for now. Okay, let's do a few changes over here. Let's scale it like this. Okay, now we have a little bit more, you can say, a different shape at the top. Okay, so next step is we need to create this little ring kind of a structure over here. So how we can do it? Let's create another primitive shape over here. We'll be using again this IMM Primitive 14 brush. Or instead of this, what we can do is we can just simply append a ring 3D like this. So we have this ring 3D over here. Let's move it over here, scale it down. Okay, let's get back to our zmodeler brush over here. Let's move it over here like this. So I can see we have a little issue over here. The size of this ring 3D is quite big, right? So how we can scale it down? So to do it properly, you just need to hover your mouse over this yellow box, press Ctrl and drag like this. So it's more like it's shrinking the ring like this, right? So let's keep it like this, and we can just make it shape it like this, right? Let's move it a little back so it can be at the center of this, like this. Okay, so now we have the shape over here, so we can move it up a little bit even further if you want. And now let's remove the rest of the edge loops over here. So I can just simply create a different polygroup over here, press Ctrl Shift and click on the polygroup and inverse the selection. So how I have done this, so if you press Ctrl Shift and you, let's say I want to make sure that this one stays visible, so I'll just click, so you can see the rest of the different polygroup will hide themselves. So we don't need it, so we can just simply go to modify topology and delete hidden. So we're just left with this ring over here. So you can see it's working like this. Let's move them a little bit down, and we are with this shape over here. Right, okay, so we are almost done with this. So let's give it more, you can say, polygon count over here. So we'll just quickly go to this divide, or we can just use dynamic subdiv at first. Let's say dynamic. We have this thing over here, so let's keep it 4. If you want to crease it, you can crease it. Let's say crease, and we can reduce the crease level. There is no need to do this one, but still. Okay, and the next thing is, either if you want to apply this dynamic subdiv, you can apply. It's going to get to this subdiv mesh level. You can see over here we have 5 subdivision levels over here. For this one, you can go to low res, the original mesh, or you can crank it up. And if you want to change the material, you can change from this material palette. Let's use our basic material for this one. Let's do the same for this one. So just select this from the subtools, find dynamic, click on this dynamic subdiv. You can see the shape is not right for now, so we just need to crease it. So you can see now it's working just fine for us. So the next thing is, let's keep it 4 for now, and crease level will decrease it to, let's say, 3. So we have a little bit, you can say, a smoother edge, right? We'll do the same for this one. So let's select this subtool over here, and we'll go for dynamic, let's say force, and crease it. We can make it 3. Let's select this one. And if you want to select directly from the viewport, so you just need to hover your mouse over the object, and you just need to press Alt. Let's say I want to select this glass mesh, so I'll be pressing Alt, and I'm gonna just click. So you can see now this mesh is selected over here like this. Press Alt and click. So for this one, I'll be first creating a little bit, you can say, edge loops like this. Let's keep it like this. And for this one, what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna select like this, and I'm gonna press Ctrl Shift and click. But instead of delete hidden, this time I'll be using split hidden. So you can see now I have again different subtools over here. So this is one subtool over here with this hollow shape, and another one is over here with this thing, right? So if I now increase the subdivision level of this one, so it's going to shape like this, right? So let's just create insert edge loop over here. Before we do this, delete, and let's create like this. Or what we can do over here is, we can just create, let's say, dynamic, and we can just crease it, right? Let's make it 4, apply. So we have this much resolution for this guy over here. Let's work on this one. Let's divide it. So we have this shape over here. Let's divide it few more times. Let's say subdivision level 7. So you can see my active point is somewhat over here. Okay, let's do the same for the glass. Let's say divide. Let's go solo mode. Let's delete this ring as well, or we'll keep it this ring, no worries. Let's go for dynamic subdiv. Let's crease it. Let's make it 4 and we'll say apply. So now we have this thing over here, right? So we have this thing over here so far. So let's quickly apply material for some basic texturing. Let's use chrome. Okay, so how we can apply materials to an object, right? So select this one, let's say, and if I want to apply this, I'll be using my paintbrush, which is over here, right? So over here you can see we have this RGB, which means color, and let's just click over here on this palette, dock this over here. So if you want to dock something, you just need to select this icon and you need to drag your mouse either over here, or you can dock the same palette over here as well. So right now, see, you can see if I change my material, you can see it's also changing, right? So let's say I want to make sure the color and the material bake itself on this, you can say, object. So right now I have selected this part over here. So let's use this one. No, okay, let's use that default one. I think it's Chrome A, right? So to apply this material, so it don't change it, you can say material and the color. So instead of RGB, we'll be using, let's say, material. And to fill this object properly, you can see under color we have this option called fill object. Just click on this. So you can see now if I change my material, let's say I'll get back to my basic material, so you can see it's not changing its color, right? So that's how this thing works. So now let's change the material for this object over here. Instead of dynamic, we need real geometry over here. I mean dynamic subdiv, not the real geometry. And we'll be using let's make it Chrome B, or let's make this one Chrome B. Let's say fill object, and we can make this Chrome A. Let's say fill object, and let's select this one, fill object. This one I've changed the color already. Let's click it one more time, fill object. This thing is for the clock itself, and this ring again. First make sure, okay, we have this subdivision levels. Let's say 5 is enough. Fill object over here. So I think we are left with just these two guys. So click over here and let's use metal shiny for this one, and click on this fill object. Okay, to see the transparency on this, so how we can do it? So we need to find display property, BPR settings, and we need to activate this BPR transparent shading. So click on this. So it's going to give you a little warning. It's going to currently on, so we'd like to turn it on, so you will click on yes, right? So if I just render this, you can see it's going to show the transparency, right? So that's how you can work with this material. So you can control the transparency by going on this BPR visibility, right? So let's keep it like this. It's looking good for now. So the next step is, which we need to work on, is we need to create the clock itself inside this. So I can hide this one for now. Let's go to transform, deactivate the symmetry, make sure that it's the center of this, and we can scale it up like this. So we have this thing over here. Let's see how many subdivision levels we have over here. So we can make sure that we need more subdivision level of this one. So we can just divide till this active point reach around million or so. Let's say 6 point something million is good enough for us for now. So the next step is, which we need to do is, we need to go under, let's say, textures, import. So I'll be using spotlight projection for this one. So I have you can say downloaded this simple image from Google, and I'm just using this for my spotlight. So just click on this, and then you have this icon over here. If you hover your mouse over this, it's going to say add to spotlight. So just click on this. So you will be able to see that this image is at the viewport, right? So we just need to set at the center, move it over here, and you can see if you hover your mouse over these objects, you will see different, you can see tools over here. So we just need to scale it right now. So over here you can see we have this thing. So I'm just going to scale it down like this, right? And now instead of RGB, we need only RGB, right? And to hide this, you can say circle with the tools. You just need to press Z, and you will be able to hide the materials, right? So now let's go to our skin shade 4, and we just need to paint this over. So let's paint it. So you just need to paint it like this. Make sure your symmetry is off for this one. And don't worry, we'll be changing the color to black once we're done with this. Okay, so if I press again Z, you will be able to see the image, and if I press Shift Z, you will be able to see that we have this thing over here, right? So let's just turn on the perspective, click on this, and let's quickly do a quick BPR render to see whether we'll be able to see through this glass or not properly. Okay, so we'll be able to see this properly now. That's fine, that's good actually. So now let's change the color, turn on the perspective, and we need to change the color of this. Let's go solar mode for this one, so we can just work on this thing. So we need to find masking, mask by color, mask by polypaint. So over here you can see we have this little window opened up. So just hover your mouse over this first, you can say color palette, and drag your mouse over this red color. So it's going to mask this for you, and just click on OK. And now you can see this red part is masked, so we need to reverse the, you can say, this mask. So just press Ctrl and click, right? And now we need to make sure that it's black. So we have our palette over here, drag it over here, and we have this RGB on. So we'll just need to click on this fill object. So you can see now it's black. So that's how you can change the color, right? So now if I do a quick again test render for this, So you'll be able to see it something like this, right? So the only thing I think is left now is just to create the hands of the clock. So let's just append this time, and let's just quickly use any primitive shape over here. Let's go over here. So we have this in white, so we need to replace this with, let's say, cube. I am in primitive 14 brush, and let's activate our Gizmo, and I'll be replacing this with, let's say, Q cube over here. So we have this thing over here. So it's going to be quite easy for us. Hide this thing, move it over here. Let's duplicate this thing, and let's keep the Gizmo on, and we need to replace this Gizmo or this cube with this thing, right? So hide the cube for a minute. Let's set it over here like this, scale it down, move it up, scale it down again a little bit more, and move it up here like this, right? And now again, let's first get back to our zmodeler brush. Let's see this thing, select this cube, scale it down, move it up. So we just need to walk on this thing. Alright, so we just need to mask this point. We'll move up, let's say it's a minute hand. Right, so we can see the wireframe of this, and let's create another edge loop over here. Let's mask this point. I think we can activate the symmetry for this one, so we can go under transform. Let's activate symmetry, and we can hide the main body itself so we can properly work on this part. Let's say we'll move it like this. Right, and then what else we can do over here is we can just, let's first delete this edge loop over here, right? And we can just hover our mouse over this point, and let's say we need to stitch this. Let's say stitch endpoints. So let's click over here and then click over here, so it's going to stitch like this. Move it away, so we have this thing, right? So we can scale, I think we can do like this. Create another edge loop, make it a little bit more shape. Like this. So we have this thing over here. So we can just make sure that it's also black, but the next step is, what we're gonna do is, let's we can just move it over here. Let's turn off the symmetry by going into transform and click on this. Let's reset it properly, because I'm going to duplicate this one. Let's say duplicate, and let's move it, let's say at let's say like this over here. Let's make it over here like this. Or let's make it something like this, let's say 9 o'clock or something. So for this, I'm just gonna scale it down. let's say like this. I'm gonna move this one, let's say down, select this one, and we're gonna move it up a little bit. We can move it forward like this. Okay, so for this one I'm just gonna create one edge loop over here, another one over here. Let's go to solo mode so we can work for the back as well, or we can just create a temporary poly group. Hover our mouse over the face, delete, and we can delete this, and we can just create another edge loop over here. Let's create one at the center as well. So now if I divide it, you can see it's going to give a little smoother edge. Let's use Chrome B for this one as well. Click over here. Let's say I need to bake the material in this as well, so I'll be using fill object. Same for this. So you can see we have two different subtools for two, you can say, hands. So I'll be merging them together. Let's say merge down. Let's say okay. So now you can see if I press Shift F, let me change the material to skin shade 4. So you can see now they are in the same subtool. So let's go for dynamic subdiv. Let's say 4. Let's say crease to 3. Or we can keep it 4. Click. Well, let's keep it 3. So we have this thing over here. So I think we can do this thing over here. Press Shift F. Oh, sorry. Shift D to get out from the dynamic subdiv, or you can just do it from here as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hover my mouse over this edge, press spacebar, and you can see we have this crease option. We need the entire edge loop because we need this shape. You can see over here this harder edge over here. Like this, right? Okay, so let's give these hands the same material. Let's say Chrome A, apply, and we can just go for the fill object, right? So we have this thing. Let's get back to the entire pocket watch. Now we can turn on the perspective and let's see what results we have. So we'll go for first, let's say render settings. We'll be changing few settings. Let's say render properties, details 4. Let's say we need ambient occlusion. Let's keep subsurface scattering also on for this one as well. Anti-aliasing, we're gonna keep it super sample 4. Shadow, let's increase the number of rays to, let's say, something like this. Blur, if you want to blur the shadow, overall shadow. And I think that's fine for now. So let's just do a quick render for this. So this one is going to take a little bit more time since we have activated the few settings and we have increased the anti-aliasing. Okay guys, so that's how you can quickly create a pocket watch in ZBrush using zmodeler brush. I hope you guys like this video. In case you guys have any doubts, please let us know in the chat box. And have a good day guys. Take care.